The WWE Draft kicks off. There's a lot of talk about this. Rules were released this week. It makes it kind of hard to expect. I've been getting a lot. Who do you think is going to be the first pick? Who's going where? Sean, let's start with you. What do you think about the WWE Draft? What are you expecting?
So I got to admit, I haven't read the rules yet. I all I saw was that Cody's not allowed to be drafted, I guess.
Right, champions.
The champions, all the champions.
Except for, I think, women's tag, Joe?
Oh, okay.
All right, let me check. I've got the draft rules right here. On SmackDown, there will be 4 rounds, 16 total picks. On Raw, there will be 6 rounds, 24 total picks. Champions on each brand are protected. Women's tag team champions are eligible. SmackDown will pick first on Friday. Raw will pick first on Monday. Rosters lock May 6th. And I heard that NXT is also getting a draft on Tuesday as well.
Okay.
Oh,
interesting.
Wow. Okay. That's
so
wild.
Let's start with the big question. Who's going from Raw or SmackDown down to NXT? Because that'll probably be the most dramatic move.
Oof, man.
I mean, it's easy because you got a feeling. I mean, Braun Breaker's already on the main roster.
Right.
Ilya Dragunov's got to go to the main roster.
Right.
Maybe a Josh Briggs. There's got to be 1 or 2 other surprises. But if people can go one way, there's got to be movement the other way. Who would be eligible to move?
Even though she holds the title, I wonder about Roxanne Perez going up to the main roster, possibly.
I think Fallon Henley would do really well on them. I think there would be. I feel like she's one of those people that doesn't translate super well in NXT, but like I think her just general demeanor, like she's like got, like that Mickey James country, like baby face kind of thing going for her. And I think that would actually, and she's super good looking, I think she would translate well on the main roster, actually. One of those rare cases where like, somebody in NXT doesn't translate as well on the main roster, like a Cameron Grimes, which we saw this week, he got released. Like, yeah. So, I mean, like that would be, I could see Fallon Henley coming up and that would be probably a good decision. As for bringing him down, I don't know. That's tough. Like bringing someone down is always a tough thing to do, but Baron Corbin, it did wonders for him, I think.
Yeah, you've got it with Ivar this week has come down. Yeah. The Final Testament has come down. It's nice when they make appearances, but I feel like rehoming them on that brand would it would give fans a different feel. It's almost like taking somebody out of the majors and saying they're not doing it here, but we want to feature them here.
Right.
But NXT has been on such a run. Like you mentioned Fallon Henley. How good is that women's division in NXT right now? And nobody is talking about it.
I guess going back to like business and stuff like that, NXT is about to be on the CW network in this coming year. So they're going to be on network TV. They might be trying to build that roster up a little more from a business. You want that roster just to have maybe a few names on it that are a little more engaging that people are going to know and see. So we might see some things we don't expect. I have to say, this is one of the drafts that we've seen in a while. I don't really know what to expect because if you have the champions locked, the one thing I keep wondering is like, well, then is somebody coming back that we don't know? I'm not saying necessarily a Brock Lesnar, but is there somebody like that out there that we don't know about? Like, okay, this guy's coming back right now. I feel like Punk is a good guy you could bounce around.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, who's going to, I guess I'm trying to think like long term, like when we get to, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, all that, you'd think, I don't know. I think one of the things I thought was keep all the women's tag teams on one brand. As much as it's, it sort of seems like obvious, but at least have some kind of intrigue in that division, I feel bad for all these guys. I mean, they have a women's tag team title and Isla Dawn and what's her name there haven't done a thing yet. They've barely been showcased and they're a cool team. I mean, that's a great team. They actually have women's tag teams. They just need to actually have them
value
feud.
Them.
Yeah. They need to have them feud and go back and forth,
And putting them on a one brand might be the trick. And again, I wasn't really thinking about this, but maybe, even though some people might consider it a downgrade, with the NXT going to CW, that could be a direction you go to. You could put an emphasis on that brand and maybe that's where women's tag team wrestling is kind of home right now.
Right.
I don't know if that is. I mean, again, we're going to be making big moves in the next year. Netflix is going to be a year away too. So
that's going to be wild. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with Netflix? Do you think they're going to go like? I think they're going to still be, PG-ish, PG, area, but
I'm curious about too. Are we going to be? I'm assuming it's going to be non-commercials. And like, how long does Raw run? Is it going to be a 2-3 hour show? Some weeks a 2 hour show. You're open to kind of do what you want at this point now.
Yeah.
I love that you both brought that up because I'm like halfway between what you both said. Sean, I agree with you. I think the rating is going to increase. We're going to see them do a little more. Bring it back to almost an older school wrestling. You can't go back to the Attitude Era, but we're going to get the new school version of that. And Dave, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be 2 hours. I think they're going to make their own commercial breaks because it's inherently still going to be a TV product, but they're going to be able to pick and choose who they want in there. We might get some Dude Wipes commercials. We might get some Wingstop commercials. We might get the Aqua Fresca commercials.
I see pictures of
yeah. And it's hard to tell what's coming up with the draft